One day I'm gonna be everything I wanna be. I don't let it get the most of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be everything I'm gonna be. My future right in front of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be free. Then let me be free.
From the depths of darkness, a voice emerges. A host with a fire burning in his soul. With a heart of steel and a spirit unbroken. He rides on two wheels ready to claim his throne. Amidst the chaos and the thunderous roar, insane wheels rise as a force to be reckoned with. Fueled by the power that only metal can bestow. He takes his stand, refusing to submit. Insane wheels hear his battle cry. A metal mayhem that will never die. With engines roaring, he paves his way. A legend in the making, day by day.
Good morning to everybody, man. It is a reckless Wednesday. Let's get it. All right, as you guys can tell from the title, of course, we got a lot of crazy developments, some things that I may or may not have even thought were even possible. But nonetheless, we have U.S. and Saudi Arabia strike Iran, as well as Japan, Quake, and Seattle update. Now, in the regards to the U.S. and Saudi strike Iran, they're attacking their proxies over there in Iraq. So, but it's still going after Iran. And this is kind of a big signal that the United States and Saudi Arabia are collaborating together, which is kind of crazy in the region. Anyways, let's go through the chronological timeline of what we're going to be discussing this morning before we get into the madness. And we do have updates on all of these things. We have numbers for you guys on all the things we've been presenting and what we will continue to present. We got all of it for you guys. So we're going to start off with an interesting story that happened or came out yesterday, basically right after we got off the live stream. A teen sentenced to life for deadly Georgia high school shooting. Now, I'm not even sure if we even followed the original part of this story. I don't even quite remember it. But nonetheless, we have it for you guys. Then we have destructive tornado rips through parts of Wisconsin, which we did cover yesterday. And we found out from just the one video that we got, it was way worse than I even expected. It was terrible. We saw a lot of destruction, which is sad. I'm sure that they have updates on that. And I told you guys, if anything comes out, we're going to follow it. Then we have 15 hours ago, U.S. forces intercept surprise Iranian missile attack. Now, this is the interesting part. So the whole reason why you see what's going on with Saudi Arabia and United States right now is because of exactly this. U.S. forces intercept surprise Iranian missile attack. And that actually happened over there at the same base. I think the same base over there in Jordan, believe it or not. And then we have Senate confirms Jay Clayton as Director of National Intelligence. This happened yesterday as well. It says the Senate on Tuesday confirmed Jay Clayton as the next Director of National Intelligence. Clayton, the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York and former Securities and Exchange Commission chairman, was confirmed 51-47 along party lines. Wow. The confirmation comes after President Trump delayed Clayton's hearing in order to allow his temporary pick, Bill Holt. Remember, we covered him maybe like 3 weeks ago at this point, to take over for several weeks after Tulsi Gabbard resigned from her role as the top intelligence chief. All right, so let's get into the next story here. We got Zelensky talks Russia sanctions bills, as well as meet with lawmakers after a Trump visit. We are now hearing that President Donald Trump top's envoy, Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, will soon travel to Ukraine to meet with the president President Zelensky, that is. This comes after Trump and Zelensky met behind closed doors for almost 1 hour at the White House this week. President Zelensky also met with lawmakers while in Washington, D.C., and had the chance to speak to the media as he made his way around the Capitol. Interesting. I'm sure he's out there begging for more money from everybody. Give me money. Money me now. And then we have Seattle shooting believed to be gang-related. Police recovered ghost gun. Now, we've been covering this since Monday, and the first day they didn't really know what was going on. Then the second day, which was yesterday, they kind of knew that it could be gang related, and now they're officially labeling it as gang related. And I guess they did recover a ghost gun as well. Says here, let's see, new details. Investigators examining the deadly bite of Seattle festival shooting have recovered 3 handguns, including an untraceable 9mm quote unquote ghost gun, which is a 3D print gun, and or one without a serial number, whatever. Firearm equipped with 40-round magazines. Seattle Police Chief Sean Barnes announced Tuesday. The update comes as police continue to investigate the Sunday evening shootout at Seattle Center that left 3 people dead and 5 others injured. Then we have the death toll, unfortunately, is rising over there in Japan. Remember, yesterday we reported on that 7.1 earthquake. Well, actually, it dropped down to a 6.8. I announced that yesterday while we were on the live stream that, hey, they went from a 7.1 and they changed it to a 6.8. And but that's still a massive quake. So we still have numbers going up in the death toll, in particular because a mall collapsed and there was people inside that mall, and there's people that are, unfortunately in that rubble. It says a powerful 7.1 magnitude earthquake. They're still calling it that. It was changed to a 6.8. I'm not sure why they didn't fix that on there, but killing at least 13 people, one in an explosion at a shopping mall and another in a building collapse. So there's multiple building collapse, actually. The second floor of the Aeon Mall collapsed, trapping people and leaving 20 to 30 employees missing as rescue efforts continue. A tsunami advisory was issued and lifted within 2 hours, which we also did tell you guys about that yesterday. And then Japan's prime minister told local media that there were reports of damage to roads, bridges, and buildings, as well as blackouts and fires, though the details are still unclear. Terrible. Then we have Trump meets with Netanyahu and Zelensky, and what the way that they're quoting this is positive and productive. Okay. Well, then we have Florida carries out first double execution in decades, coming out 10 hours ago. So this was about midnight Central Standard Time for me, anyways. It says a former police officer convicted of an on-duty rape and murder of a young girl was put to death Tuesday. The first 2 lethal injections planned for a single day in Florida, hours before an 80-year-old man became the second oldest inmate executed in modern U.S. history. Wow, there's a lot going on here. Then, of course, what we have on the thumbnail is U.S. and Saudi forces launched dual attack on Iran after surprise attacks. They're talking about the surprise attacks that happened over there in Jordan that just happened overnight. We have the details on that that I'm going to read for you guys when we get to this point. And we basically attacked with the help of Saudi Arabia up there with Iraqi militias up there. Which are considered to be a part of Iran. Then we have Dr. Fauci invokes 5th Amendment at COVID-19 hearing. This coming out only a single hour ago, just 1 hour ago. That shit is not surprising. I plead the 5th. Yeah, totally pussy. Anyways, listen, let's go ahead and do our call to actions real quick, and then we'll get into the madness. Make sure you guys hit that like button, double tap that screen if you guys are on the vertical side. I very much appreciate it. And it's free to do so. You know what else is free is hitting that subscribe button. This is what we do Monday through Friday. And of course, we have members only on Saturday morning where we don't even discuss any of this shit. And speaking of members, please consider becoming a member starting only at $4.99 a month, making sure we're not breaking the bank out there with anybody. But check it out. This is what allows us to be on these airwaves as well as have these lights on. So thank you guys for becoming members and staying members. A little side note, make sure you guys follow my Instagram at BallValveTV, where I post everything behind the scenes of not only my life, but as well as the show, Millennial Food Time, breaking news, as well as politics, all that great shit. It's a great way to get hold of me one-on-one. And we also have a Discord server for you legends. Make sure you guys go in the video description down below. It's where all of us hang out. And I actually break news minute by minute in there as well. Then last but not least, all super chats, super stickers, gifted memberships, and membership signups are, of course, all going to be presented live and shouted out onto the show. But if you guys like to skip that YouTube 30% brutal cut that they take from your hard-earned cash, we have these platforms that are scrolling around the screen somewhere. And of course, you guys can donate to those and I get 100% of the proceeds. And we'll, of course, read out loud anything that comes our way, just like a normal super chat. So everyone's going to be heard. All right. Good morning to everybody, man. Great to see everyone in the chat, man. Let me go ahead and scroll up. And man, we got a lot of you guys in here. We got Carney Vanguard with the first comment, by the way. Appreciate you. Good morning to you in Monobomb, Virginia. Thank you guys for hanging out and also rating the channel. We always appreciate you guys from the coffee crew. We got Easy Frank as well. Good morning, kind sir. Great to see you. Let's see here. We got Vanguard Creators as well. We got Mr. Al Patterson. Yes, sir. Good morning. We got Naomi in the building as well as Rabbit of Chaos. Glare is hanging out with us, but he is listening from the background, he says. Nice to see you in here, bro. Let's see. We got Jamie Lindsay. Appreciate you. Good morning. And Carney says, yes, indeed. Smash that like. That's a fact, Jack. We got Steve Posey saying, happy hump day to all humpers. Yes, sir. Happy Reckless Wednesday to everybody. Let's see. We got Mr. Jack Talcott. Yes, sir. Blessings to you, kind sir. Always appreciate having you in here as well. American Puppet Forces. Good morning to you as well. We got Pablo. Good morning. Good morning. We got OG Steve Easy in the hizzle. Appreciate you hanging out with us this morning. We got No Grow as well. Good morning. Good morning. Well, let's see. We got Mr. Hardwire 1%er. Yes, sir. Good morning. We're scrolling. I promise. Going fast. Going super fast. All you guys are chatting, which is great, by the way. We got Dean Savage. Appreciate you hanging out with us this morning. Good morning. All right. I think we're fairly caught up. Let's go ahead and get into this first story. We have to. Teen sentenced to life for deadly Georgia high school shooting.
Next up, I want to take you out to Georgia. Just moments ago, the Appalachia high school shooter, Colt Gray, was just sentenced to life without parole. Judge Nicholas Prim handed down the sentence following 3 days of testimony and arguments during Gray's sentencing hearing. The ruling came about an hour after the court went to recess following the closing statements. Let's listen in to this sentencing.
14 years of age. Those who appear regularly in front of me have often heard me lament about the difficulty in sending a young person to prison. And here, as everyone understands, the minimum sentence is life with parole. Now, the appellate courts have said that children are constitutionally different from adults for purposes of sentencing. That stems from an understanding that juveniles aren't fully formed cognitively. Hallmark features of a juvenile include immature.
What is she doing with that in her mouth? Like, I that's obviously for something important, so that I guess she's speaking into something and can't. I don't know what the fuck that is.
Impulsivity, recklessness, the failure to appreciate risk and consequences. And because of these factors, the Supreme Court says that the Eighth Amendment prohibits the death penalty for juveniles. The Supreme Court also disfavors life without parole for juveniles, declaring it to be a constitutionally forbidden, disproportionate sentence in all but the rarest of cases. Life without parole is thus.
So is she speaking into it, though, Steve Easy?
Authorized only for youthful crimes reflecting permanent incorrigibility. Life without parole is barred for crimes that are born out of a transient immaturity of youth. Now, I recognize that with your guilty plea, you've assumed responsibility for your crimes. You have made a lengthy and public.
I guess I've just never seen that device be used ever before.
Trial unnecessary. I also recognize that you were failed by each of your parents. You were failed by your extended family. To a certain extent, you've been.
You are failed by everybody, so now we got to kill you.
Failed by a society that can't stop propagating this misguided value in online cultures and social media, rather than making genuine interpersonal connections and relationships. But that failure does not absolve you from who you chose to idolize, worship, and become.
Well, he's not actually getting the death penalty or anything like that, but he is getting life without parole. So
4 lives were stolen, 2 of them really just beginning, and it wasn't done out of fear or anger. You weren't being bullied at Appalachia. It wasn't done out of hatred. You didn't even know anyone at that school. It was done for the infamy of it. Now, your childhood instability and neglect would explain or mitigate finding yourself in one of those problematic places that Dr. Richards testified about. But planning, fantasizing about, visualizing, and executing a school shooting don't put you in a problematic place. It puts you in an unredeemable moral wasteland.
Now, I'm just waiting for him to get over the front monologue here of what he's saying. And then, because we already know that he's been sentenced to life without parole, right? So I do want to hear what the judge has to say here. And we're not going to play the whole thing, obviously, because we just don't have that much time to fit everything in and just play everything. So we're just getting the top monologue real quick.
Your crimes do reflect permanent incorrigibility, and I will sentence you to life without parole for each of the malice murders that you committed. You understood the horror of what you were going to do. You studied the trials of those other shooters. You even critiqued the victim statements given in those cases, and yet you did this anyway. You wrote, "I want to make history. I want people to remember the pain I caused."
Yeah, all these, you got goofballs out here. I want to make history by doing this. I want everyone to remember the pain I caused. Get out of here with that.
Emotional, damn it.
It sounds like an emotional child, which he obviously is.
And there you succeeded. The pain that you visited upon this community is unlikely to disappear in my lifetime. You do not seem to be tormented by what you did. You seem to relish following in the footsteps of the murderers you idolize. You aren't racked with guilt. You're proud of yourself. Less than a month after the tragedy, you weren't concerned with the horror you wrought, but rather with finding out which mass murderers they were comparing you to. A youth may fail to consider the harm his rash actions inflict before acting, but you did consider it. You studied that pain when you researched the trials of your profane idols. You contemplated that pain over and over. This wasn't transient immaturity. It was deliberate, contemplated evil.
And this is the kid right here next to the whatever super old person, super old attorney that he's got or whatever.
You were all too aware of the court outcome of those mass shootings because you studied and obsessed over them. You know that the Aurora Theater shooter received life without parole. Nicholas Cruz received life without parole. Ethan Crumley, a juvenile, received life without parole. Yet you were not dissuaded. Your plan was not hastily hatched. It was a slow boil simmering more than a year's time. You savored the thought of it, you visualized it, and you fantasized about it.
Damn.
You broke it down step by
and then he's unapologetic about it.
step in visualizing what you were going to do. The thought of mimicking these other mass murders is what brought you joy. Now, for the rest of us, there is no joy here today. There's only a measure of closure. The slain will not return to life. The injured will not forget their wounds, and a 16-year-old boy will live and die in prison.
Terrible.
You have certain post-plea appellate rights I need to inform you of. You have a right to file.
No, we don't care. Anyways, we're going to move on because we know that he got sentenced with life or life without parole. So we got to move on. Destructive tornado rips through parts of Wisconsin. We reported on this a little bit yesterday. We had one video and we saw the amount of destruction, which was huge. I couldn't believe just out of one video, the amount of destruction it really did do. So I'm sure that they have updates on this.
Now, we want to continue to talk about the severe weather that has been rocking not only the Northeast, but yesterday, severe storms out in the Midwest, including tornadoes out in Wisconsin. That is where we want to go to next, where a strong storm pushed through Wisconsin's Fox Valley. And that is where we find Fox Weather's Katie Byrne joining us here with the latest right now from this tornado destruction.
Wow.
Yeah, we're having some technical difficulties.
Look at that backdrop.
Because cell service is really limited here, which is tough for a lot of the locals because some of them are having a hard time reaching their family members still at this hour because of not only the power outages, but the cell service issues. And then we don't even have water for most in this area, which a lot of people are calling ground zero here in Menasha. When you look around, you're going to see a number of homes that look like this, totally destroyed. This is where Adriana Tolvar lives. We were talking to her earlier about what it was like living through this. She says she was at a bank nearby, but her two daughters were home, her oldest 15 years old. She was calling her to get to the basement as soon as those alerts came through. This tornado hitting the area right around lunchtime yesterday, which a lot of locals are saying was the best case scenario because they had the daylight on their side and those alerts coming through warning them to get into a safe place. But the trouble is that when people left those safe places,
you know, it's kind of weird, Steve. Same thing happened to me when we moved here. When I moved here, I kind of was like, well, fuck, I've never been through, dealt with a tornado before. And when you haven't dealt with it, you're kind of like, antsy about it. But now, yeah, that's totally the same. When I went through the first couple of times that we had to go into the actual bunker and all that shit, we call it the storm cellar, right? Or the bunk, whatever. And it's, once you deal with it, it's like not the end of the world. You start learning how to prepare correctly. You also get notifications on your phone and stuff like that. And so, anyways, we've got Miss Lotus in here. Good morning to you, by the way. And good morning, Naomi. Always appreciate you for hanging out with us.
He came outside and saw neighborhoods forever changed. Adriana's 2 daughters, both of them are safe. They're okay, unharmed. But the home that you're looking at, she says, it's a total loss. They had a dumpster here earlier just trying to sort through this debris and salvage anything they could of their home. She says they just moved to the area a couple of years ago. And
damn, could you imagine? Like that's like me. Like I moved here a couple of years ago, Northern Alabama. I moved here from Southern California. Okay. And imagine only just 2 years later having your entire, what you moved your existence for. Oh, that's terrible, man.
Renovated this house fully. Now they're
hopefully everything's insured. Hopefully
they're looking at rebuilding somewhere else because she says the kids are too traumatized by what they saw.
She
also mentioned that when you look around the surrounding neighborhood, there's at least one home that's gone, and you can only see just piles of debris here. Some homes, the roofs have been ripped off. Others look similar to Adriana's, where you're just looking inside of their house. The walls are gone. She says she's had trouble getting in touch with some of her neighbors.
Them right away. I called my oldest daughter. She's 15. I told her to go to the basement, but then our phones.
Always appreciate that, Greg. Hopefully you're enjoying your Reckless Wednesday. Good morning to you.
We're not working. So she seen that text and she ran.
By the way, everybody, I know there's a lot of craziness happening around the world and a lot of terrible news I'm presenting, but listen, make sure you guys hit the like button, double tap the screen, not for all this crazy shit, but for me and what we're doing here on Insane Wheels. So thank you for that.
And then when they seen like when the water was coming in and like the force, they tried to close the door. And then
so this is the strongest tornado to hit
when you got the girls.
You were like talking over each other.
Now, this is the strongest tornado to hit Wisconsin in 30 years. It was given an EF3 rating, and it tracked on the ground for roughly 12 miles and over 20
That's right, Brother 13. Good morning.
minutes. Today has been very busy on the ground with, I think you can hear the sound of chainsaws going. People are trying to get through this debris, reopen some of the roads that are impassable because of downed trees and power.
And this is just one area, by the way. I mean, what we saw yesterday was a way bigger area, kind of an area that looks like this, but not this area right here. But this is terrible.
Lines, and we have shelters and cooling centers opening up for people who are displaced, which the Red Cross says roughly 40 people stayed at a shelter set up in this town last night. They're going to update us on what that number looks like today, but officials saying they don't have a number of how many people.
What's up, Seymour Cannabis? Yes, sir. Good morning.
Were hurt. They do say there were some people who went to local hospitals for injuries, but we are hearing from neighbors like Adriana that she's still having trouble getting in touch with a couple neighbors, so it could be a cell service issue as people are still trying to, make sure everyone's okay here on the ground. Mike?
Yeah, Katie, truly destructive right there behind you. And isn't it always amazing when you go to these neighborhoods that have been wiped out, you're thinking, okay, no one's really going to want to talk to me because they're dealing with.
No, actually, it's quite the opposite. Usually they want to talk now. That's definitely a time that people are like, oh, the camera's here. Let's go ahead and tell them exactly what we saw.
Their own stuff right now, probably maybe the worst week of their life. But people do want to talk about what happened and what they saw.
Because they want people to know and understand what they just went through. And she's not responding because I think that what she'd said at the top of the report is that they have no internet connection out there. All right, we got Marilyn in the chat. By the way, good morning to you. Great to see you in the chat. Hopefully you're enjoying your Reckless Wednesday so far. I definitely know that we are. And yes, make sure let's get the likes up, everybody. Let's get the likes up. All right, we got to move on into this next story here. U.S. forces intercept surprise Iranian missile attack. Now, this is in the regards of overnight. We had a situation, obviously. Actually, yes, this happened not overnight. It happened yesterday evening-ish. Late afternoonish. But anyways, Iran, the IRGC started attacking, I think the same base up there in Jordan that we just, were reporting on this last, week and a half ago, in the regards to our base over there in Jordan getting struck. And I believe this is what happened is the IRGC sent their missiles, blah, blah, blah. The United States, our forces intercepted all of those missile attacks. And then it was like, okay, game on, motherfucker. And so that now Saudi Arabia is involved as of this morning and stuff like that. Well, as of overnight, actually, that's when the overnight stuff was happening. Anyways, first, let's do this. Let's get into it.
Welcome back in the Live Now from Fox. I'm your host, Anna Marsick. We do have some breaking news coming out of the Middle East as U.S. forces intercept multiple Iranian missiles. We have this coming from U.S. Central Command. At 5:45 p.m. Eastern Time today, Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps forces launched multiple ballistic missiles from Iran in an attempted surprise attack on U.S. forces based in the Middle East. All Iranian missiles were successfully intercepted. U.S. forces remain vigilant and at a high state of readiness. The Associated Press is reporting that Iran did launch those multiple ballistic missiles at American forces in the Middle East today, shattering that brief pause in fighting as mediators tried to get both sides back to negotiations and toward that ceasefire, according to the U.S. military. Once again, all Iranian missiles successfully intercepted, U.S. Central Command saying in that statement, adding that U.S. forces once again remain vigilant and at a high state of readiness. The U.S. and Iran had experienced a brief period of calm during which neither announced attacks for days following weeks of escalation over the Strait of Hormuz. The Persian Gulf waterway is that narrow choke point through which 20% of the world's oil normally flows. It's come up time and time again as this conflict continues escalating. Iran effectively closed the strait when the war started by firing at freighters and tankers off its coast, or threatening to, following the signing of that interim ceasefire deal back in June. The battle for control over the strait has erupted, Iran demanding that ships use a route near its coastline and said that it could potentially charge fees. Ships were increasingly navigating a southern route against the coast of Oman under the U.S. Overwatch operation when Iran attacked some vessels. So once again, the latest news coming in is that the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps forces launching those multiple ballistic missiles from Iran.
And so after this happened, of course, overnight is when the United States attacked Iran, but in one of their proxies. They attacked basically an Iraqi militia. And I have that up. I actually have all the. I'll just bring it up now because since we're just starting to get started talking about this topic, but we do everything chronologically here. So by the end of it, we're going to get back into this conversation right here, what I'm about to show you guys. So what happened overnight, right? Let's see here. Allow. Boom. Okay, so what happened overnight? Iran launched a surprise missile attack targeting U.S. forces in Jordan, ending the relative lull that had existed over the past several days. U.S. officials say the incoming missiles were intercepted, though the attack represented a major escalation. That coming out from the Wall Street Journal, by the way. And then we have, in response, the United States and Saudi Arabia carried out coordinated airstrikes against Iran-backed militias or militia positions in Iraq. This is significant because it's one of the clearest public examples of Saudi Arabia openly participating alongside U.S. military operations in this conflict. Now, the targets that were reportedly hit, current reporting indicates the strikes focused on Iran-backed militia compounds, as well as weapon storage sites, command and control facilities, and logistics infrastructures used by the militias operating in Iraq. And Reuters reported that yesterday, late last night. Then we have casualties. Early reports indicate at least 20 members of Iraq's Popular Mobilization Forces, which is what they call themselves, PMF, were reported killed, though the exact number varies between outlets and may change as assessments continue. And that's also coming out from Reuters. Then why is this a major escalation? This isn't just another round of U.S. strikes. Saudi Arabia has largely tried to avoid becoming a direct combatant while defending its own territory, publicly joining offensive operations alongside the United States signals. Raida appears to believe the Iranian threat has crossed a new threshold, what they're talking about over there in Saudi Arabia. Gulf states may be shifting from primary defensive operations to offensive military cooperation. Then we have Iran now faces pressure from more than just the U.S. and Israel, Reuters says. President Trump's response, I actually saw it this morning and I uploaded the picture. And it's Trump saying, it says right here first, following Iran's missile attack, President Trump told Fox News, we're going to beat the fucking shit out of them. When I saw that this morning, that was the first thing that I saw. It was this picture right here. I took a screenshot of it and I uploaded it. And Apparently, he had said, we're going to beat the fucking shit out of them. And President Trump responds to Iran's attack on U.S. troops. All right, so that gives us a little context of where we are currently, but we still need to get ourselves into current time with all the other reports first. So let me go ahead and bring this up now. Damn, did I just exit out of it? Fuck, I hate when I do some stupid shit like that. Let me see if I can pull the video from over here real quick and see if there's anything real quick. 1 second, I'm going through. Here it is. There we go. I found it. I don't know why I must have accidentally exited out of it. Okay, so let me go ahead and pull this up for you guys. 3, 2, 1. There we go.
Santa Marsic. We do have some breaking news coming out of the Middle East as U.S. forces.
It's because we just fucking played it, dummy. Stupid. All right, now we got the other story. Sorry about that. We have to get into other updates, and then we'll get more into that shit. Senate confirms Jay Clayton as Director of National Intelligence. Okay, so remember a couple of weeks ago, maybe it was 3 weeks ago at this point, there was a guy named Bill Pulte, and he was being he was the temporary pick for Tulsi Gabbard's resignation. He took control for a few weeks, and now we have the official Senate confirmation, Jay Clayton as the Director of National Intelligence. And it happened by party lines. The vote was 51 to 47 along party lines in the Senate. Okay, let's go ahead and bring this up. Here we go.
Welcome back in the Live Now from Fox. I'm your host, Anna Marsic. We do have some breaking news coming out of Washington right now. This coming from Rapid Response 47. Confirmed Jay Clayton as the 9th Director of National Intelligence. The Senate has confirmed Jay Clayton to become the head of the nation's intelligence agencies, putting a permanent director in place just weeks.
No, lady. We got attacked. We got attacked by Iran. They were attacking one of our bases in Jordan yesterday.
Weeks after President Donald Trump sought to delay his nomination, Clayton, the U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York and a former Securities and Exchange Commission chairman, was confirmed 51 to 47 along party lines. Republicans had initially hoped to confirm Clayton in June, but Trump had delayed his hearing in order to allow his temporary pick for the job, who was Bill Pulte, to take over for several weeks after former director Tulsi Gabbard had resigned. Senators from both parties have expressed concerns about Pulte, a former housing regulator who had no
See, I couldn't remember if it was Pulte or Pulte. P-U-L-T-E. So
intelligence experience. Pulte was in charge when President Trump delivered a speech from the White House earlier this month, doubling down on his false claims about the 2020 election, which he lost, and released classified documents that he said were relevant to his arguments. Just taking a live look right now at the Senate floor where that confirmation officially happened today. Pulte has also said that he has presided over a downsizing of the National Intelligence Office, which functions.
I'm a fucking asshole. I guess right in the very, very beginning of us hitting go live, we got a donation that I skipped over. I just didn't see it. So I super apologize, Mr. Al Patterson, coming in with the $5 on the Cash App saying, happy Whip 'em Out Wednesday. Yes, sir. Let's get it. And happy Reckless Wednesday as well. Make sure let's get the likes up, everybody. Let's double tap that screen if you're on the vertical side. I very much appreciate it. There's a lot of craziness going on, but you guys can like it for me and what we do here. So
as a coordinating hub for the U.S. government's intelligence agencies. He had boasted on social media with the latest round of job cuts that the office is carrying out about a 30% staff reduction from weeks ago, not yet offering details about those cuts, making it immediate to corroborate the extent of any reductions. But once again, the breaking news coming in is that the Senate has officially confirmed Jay Clayton to become the head of the nation's intelligence agencies.
And that's it. That's literally, there is no other thing to report than just what she just said right there. I gave you the actual numbers of, she didn't do that though. Okay, anyways, let's move on. Zelensky talks Russia sanctions bill and meets with lawmakers after Trump visit. Now, this is as of yesterday. So let me go and bring this up. And I think you guys know as well as Netanyahu was here yesterday as well. But I think he landed here, did his thing, and then got the fuck out. So
we do know that, okay, it looks like we do have President Zelensky there walking past the camera right now. Let's lift up the audio and see what we can hear.
Insane Wheels Wednesday. I like that.
Mr. President, what are
what you ask this is just for when we're thankful to senators and when we're thankful for this discussion.
I have not, Steve Easy. I lost interest on that guy a long time ago. I'm going to be honest.
With details out of Ukraine, and we are thankful that this bill is very important. Sanctions pressure on Russia is very important, and really,
he's talking about how important it is to bring sanctions on Russia.
it gives. It's not only about money.
So he's going to talk about policy on an international level for us on how we need to help him, and then of course him going around asking for money.
How to stop to finance this war, but it's also a big signal to Europe, big signal to Ukraine, big support of our people.
Maker Wednesday, that's right. Good morning, GEG.
Positive result. One more question.
God damn, I hate their fucking audio. God damn.
We speak about Patriot missiles. Really, it's true. Now we spoke with senators about it. So that Ukraine.
And I have that for you guys. I guess Fauci does plead the Fifth. I have it right here. Dr. Fauci invokes the Fifth Amendment at COVID-19 hearing as of just now 2 hours ago.
Really can produce everything which can destroy.
Dragon Classic, good morning.
From Iranian Shaheeds to Russian drones and etc. We have drone interceptors, modern systems of electronic warfare. Real problem is anti-ballistic systems and anti-ballistic missiles. And of course, I shared what we need, our needs. I shared it with the president today. I'm very thankful to him for this meeting. And now I shared with senators. So we will try to manage it. It's a big challenge.
God, I hate their audio. That's enough for me. That's totally enough for me. We got Warland in the building. Shout out to my man. Good morning to you, by the way, over there on the West Coast. All right, let's go ahead and bring it over to Seattle. We got to update you guys on the Seattle situation, the Seattle shooters, because there is a couple of them. But mind you, there's still one person at large right now. But there is an update. Seattle shooting believed to be gang-related now. Now, they were discussing the possibilities of it being possibly connected to gang-related, blah, 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 yesterday. And now it looks like they're actually calling it out to be gang-related. Police recovers ghost gun, it says, as well. So it was a 9mm with... he also had 40-round magazines and shit.
Into live now from Fox. I'm
2 different firearms, I think. 2 different firearms and a 40-round mag.
Andy Mack. In Seattle, a ghost gun was among the weapons recovered by authorities following the fatal shooting at the food festival over the weekend. We're learning more information about this. Fox 13 says investigators said Tuesday they found 3 handguns at the scene. And they're still trying to track down one of the suspects, one of the individuals involved in this potentially.
Texas Gidget, good morning to you. Great to see you in the building, by the way.
Related incident on Sunday night. Let's be joined right now here on Live Now from Fox by Fox 13's Dan Griffin. Dan, thank you so much for joining us, and plenty of criticism for officials on how they're handling this. But where does the investigation stand? What else did they recover from the scene?
Yeah, so they've talked about everything from digital to physical evidence. They've been able to talk to get victim statements as well as witness statements. And they say that they've been able to go around and start trying to gather what they say might be private video from the area, cameras in the area. Although they say we don't have CCTV cameras in that area, which is something that has been deployed around.
Which is insane. We have everything in all these cities. There's cameras everywhere. You can't move without being I mean, look at all the amount of flock cameras, which we need to deflock America, by the way. But you have all this shit, cameras everywhere, and you're telling me this is a blind spot in the fucking city near the Space Needle? Give me a break.
In certain areas of Seattle, it does not exist near the Seattle Center. So obviously they've been focused on trying to gather as much of that as they can as they continue to search for suspects. And the emphasis in this has been put on the word suspects.
There are families grieving who have lived through a total nightmare. They deserve justice.
Seattle Police Chief Sean Barnes says cops are digging into digital and physical evidence as well as firsthand accounts from the bite of Seattle shooting Sunday night. The incident.
Oh, wow. Is that true, Warland? I didn't know anything about that.
3 people dead, including a suspected shooter, and at least 5 people hurt. We've learned police have recovered 14 shell casings from 2 different caliber guns, though Barnes says cops found 3 guns. They believe only 2 were involved.
Our detectives believe that the polymer ghost gun and the Glock 45 were used in this act of violence.
What's up, Casper? Good morning to you. Happy Whip 'em Out Wednesday, or Reckless Wednesday, or Insane Wheels Wednesday. Good morning. Great to see you.
But we are still waiting on ballistic testing to be completed.
Investigators say the 15-year-old suspect who was arrested had the ghost gun. It had an extended magazine with a 30.
So they just showed for the first time any actual video of the guy, which we only saw his back.
Investigators say the
right here.
15-year-old suspect who was arrested had the ghost gun. It had an extended magazine with a 33-round capacity and 19 rounds left. The Glock had a fully automatic switch with a 40-round capacity. 21 rounds were left.
Police believe that this
motherfuckers running around with switches and shit.
was targeted gang-related violence and continue to look for other possible suspects.
Mayor Katie Wilson reflected on the impact of the tragedy and words from the father of Amar Murphy Payne during a community vigil Monday night. Payne was shot to death outside Garfield High School in 2024.
As the mother of a 2-year-old who spends a lot of time at Seattle Center, and knowing that a 2-year-old was shot, I can imagine.
There are no CCTV cameras near Seattle Center. Wilson says the city will continue with an audit before any expansion. Forensic detectives are seeing what private cameras may have captured. As of now,
well, of course, there's a fuck ton of cameras everywhere. You got to start going to all the businesses. I mean, are you guys just lazy? What are you guys doing over there, dude?
Now, there's no solid suspect description. Complicating matters, Barnes says there could still be more than one out there.
We have so many people who are calling in with information. What we try to do is to get the commonalities in those: height, what they were wearing, age, description, ethnicity, if we can.
So obviously there's been a lot of interest in this. Chief Barnes here in Seattle says there have been at least 80 calls to the SPD tip line. He also says that SPD plans to upstaff basically their coverage for some upcoming events here, including Seafair, which is extremely popular in the Seattle area and takes place on the water here, and as well as Bumbershoot, which also happens over at Seattle Center.
All right, and I do want to ask you about what was recovered, because they talked about several of the weapons recovered, including a ghost gun. How difficult does that make it for police to try to track down individuals? Because, you know, as we talk about it, ghost guns very hard to trace.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're not traceable. That's the part of it.
Yeah, so that is a very difficult thing. So first off, they're illegal right out the gate. Second off, there's no serial number. And third off, they found this gun apparently with the 15-year-old. So now maybe they'll be able to figure out where the 15-year-old got that from and be able to trace that. But they also say they're working with state.
You have a better chance of asking him directly in interrogation on how he got it.
Officials here, and of course, I'm sure they're working with federal officials, the ATF as well. And then they've got that Glock. And then there was a third gun they found on the scene, but they say that gun did not appear, at least from what they can tell right now, to be involved in this. But certainly, it's one of those situations where it brings gun violence right to the forefront, and a lot of those concerns.
All right, what else can you tell us about what they're searching for? Because they have received their fair share of criticism over how they handled it on Sunday, how they're taking accountability for what's going on.
What's up, Richard Smith, by the way? Good morning.
Are we getting any clearer picture on who these suspects are?
You know, at this point, we do not have any clearer of a suspect description than we did just a couple of days ago. That's something that we've continued to push for here. And, you know, investigators say they're getting a lot of information through that tip line. But one of the things here that could make it a little bit more difficult is that there may not be enough video footage for them to be able to pinpoint or get a better look at who could be another suspect that they're looking for in this. And again, they also told us today there could be more than one suspect they're looking for. It's very much an investigation that they're continuing to move forward with here and trying to piece it together day by day. But you could say it certainly has been tense here as reporters and the community have continued to push them about how this whole response happened in the first place and why people here were seemingly left in the dark for the first 5 or so hours. That was something that was a part of today's press conference too.
Yeah, concerned about the danger to the community. They're still trying to pick up a lot of information and evidence and try to piece it all together. Dan, thank you again. I appreciate your time reporting. You're on Live Now.
All right. So, all right, let's go ahead and move into this next story here. Death toll rises after a major earthquake hits Japan. We actually reported on this. It happened over there down in the very, very southern part of Japan on I forget what the actual, I can't remember what it is. It starts with an O, but anyways, we have this update for you guys. Let's go ahead and bring this up for you guys. Give me a second. 3, 2, 1.
Recovery efforts are underway in Japan following a major magnitude 7.1 earthquake.
Now, it was changed yesterday. We covered this situation yesterday, and we were following the numbers, and I have updated numbers for you guys as well. But in this particular thing, they moved it down to a 6.8, I believe, not a 7.1.
That country, as several people were trapped inside of a shopping mall that partially collapsed on the southern portion of the main island, the southern main island.
There it is. I posted a picture that Agrillipus actually sent me yesterday of this collapsed mall, because we were hoping to find images of it yesterday, but it was so early And it had just happened, and we didn't have that picture yet. So
earthquake, and you can see some of the damage now currently daytime on Wednesday in this location. You can see some of the damages that happened, potentially a gas line ruptured, causing an explosion. We're also hearing from officials in Japan, the Japanese prime minister talking about urging residents to evacuate and stay vigilant after that major magnitude earthquake.
Wait, are you really serious? He's just like Putin. I mean, come on, get out of town right here. I mean, come on. Trump is not Putin. Let me go ahead and explain why he's not Putin, okay? So I'm looking for the exact totals, but there is no exact official number because neither Russia nor Ukraine publishes independently verified fatality totals. But estimates vary depending on the methodology used. As of late July 2026, the most credible estimates are Russian soldiers killed 350,000 to 500,000. Total Russian military casualties killed or wounded and missing. So all three of those combined, anywhere from 1.2 to 1.5 million people. Now, as far as I know, Trump hasn't killed or wounded or had 1.5 million people go missing or dead or any of those things. So I don't know what you're referring to. Anyways, let's go ahead and get back into this. 3, 2, 1. Boom.
Quake hits southern Japan as the death toll continues to rise. Let's bring into the conversation from Reuters in Tokyo, based in Tokyo, John Getty. John, thank you so much for joining us right now. What's the sense?
From Reuters.
What's the feeling? What's the latest you can tell us about this earthquake?
Well, the latest we just heard in the last hour from the Prime Minister, who has confirmed that 13 people have died, at least, in this earthquake that struck yesterday afternoon. There's a pretty frantic search still going on for survivors. You mentioned the collapsed shopping mall, which has been the most eye-catching moment, really, of the events of the last 12 hours or so.
What's up, Extra Surprise? Good morning. Great to see you in the chat.
But there are other locations as well. There's a paper mill where the chimney partially collapsed, where 7 people are also missing. Frank. And the Prime Minister described it this morning as a race against time to find survivors. So yes, for rescue workers on the ground, it really is, a desperate attempt to try to find people, especially in this mall where you can see now the wreckage that was caused from that.
Yeah, and it's very difficult to watch, and they're racing against the minutes, the hours to get there. The Prime Minister also told people to stay vigilant. Are they concerned that there might be more quakes, aftershocks happening?
Yes, that's pretty standard in Japan.
What's up, Charlie Rose? Good morning to you as well.
With big quakes like this, to expect, aftershocks. There've been over 100 small aftershocks in the area since that quake yesterday afternoon, and authorities have warned residents, especially in those areas that were very close to the epicenter, to beware of potentially other big jolts that could come for the next week.
Well, it's called the Ring of Fire, and that's exactly what they're showing right here. Once one goes, there is always a possibility for the Ring of Fire to really kind of explode a little bit. But
so absolutely, residents, are many are under evacuation orders, so they are considering whether they need to go to evacuation centers. Another issue that authorities have warned about here is, many homes, thousands of homes, are without power, and we're in the middle of summer here in Japan. It's hot. It's going to get 34 degrees plus.
Damn. So this dude is reporting literally from Japan for Reuters, by the way.
Down in Kumamoto today and very humid. So in people in houses without access to air conditioning, the authorities are warning for people to be very vigilant about potential, heat stroke and heat risks, as well, even if they have managed to get through this initial chaos of the post-earthquake.
Yeah, those were.
Yeah, no, it's terrible. Let me see if they have any of the updates in here, any further posts. I did want to get that image real quick again of that mall. Looks like we're finding other images here. Let's go and see.
There was a big explosion in this mall around an hour after the quake hit.
So there was a big explosion here, and then there was another building that collapsed as well.
Mall operator said that they'd
like
managed to get around 200 shoppers in the mall. They'd evacuated them immediately after, but there were still some people inside when this explosion of unknown origin occurred. And there's been some footage, before this from dash cam footage that has been, been shown on local television here, and I'm sure other stations around the world. There's this vast explosion from inside the building that sends all this debris out across the car park and leaves the whole front of the building in ruins, as you see.
Yeah, it's terrible. All right, let's go and move on. We have to. We still got a lot of stories to get through, and we're already 50 minutes in. All right, Trump meets with Netanyahu and Zelensky, and they're saying that the way that they're posing it is it was positive and productive. Give me a break. Anyways, let's go ahead and bring this up. See what's happening here.
The wars in the Middle East and in Europe they might be converging as a pair of high-profile meetings within the Oval Office, pivotal moments for both Israel and Ukraine. This all unfolding hours before the funeral of Senator Lindsey Graham. And separately, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was in the Oval Office. Followed before was Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky. A live picture right now in Washington, D.C. at the White House. The White House called both of these meetings positive and productive, and notably, Senator Lindsey Graham, a staunch supporter of Israel and an advocate for U.S. aid to Ukraine. Let's continue on here on Live Now from Fox and bring into the conversation from the Foundation for Defense of Democracies to experts,
FDD.
David Daoud, a senior fellow covering
from both of them are on here at the same time.
Middle East, and
Interesting.
John Hardy, director.
I really don't need them to speak about it too much, but I do want to get the top monologue of the meetings, and then that's it.
Deputy Director of the Russia Program. David, I do want to start with you because this
That's
was
right,
the
Dragon
first
Classy.
face-to-face meeting between President Trump and Netanyahu since Operation Epic Fury, the joint operation back in February. They called this a positive talk. What do they make of that, and what does that mean for the Middle East?
Well, I think partially this meeting was meant as a reset. We recall that recent months have seen some significant tension between President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu, at least according to reporting. Some of that has been verified by President Trump. I think part of this was meant to get both sides on the same page. Obviously, the overarching issue is Iran. The Israelis continue to favor military action in Iran, thinking that diplomacy is less productive, although Prime Minister Netanyahu has said in the past that he's willing to trust President Trump's instinct on this matter to see how far diplomacy can get the United States. Meanwhile, obviously, the United States, despite resuming military.
Well, I don't think Netanyahu has an option. I think that he has to listen to what Trump has to say. And that battlefield, as much as Netanyahu wants to run that whole battlefield right now, it's not ran by him at all.
Action against Iran. I don't think the military action was an end in and of itself. It was meant to induce Iran to be more flexible at the negotiation table to secure this MOU that's been in the process of negotiation now 4 months. So that was the big divergence. There have also been more minor divergences or secondary divergences. Obviously, President Trump has gotten very close with Syria, with President al-Shara. He's even praised his efforts when it would come to Hezbollah in Lebanon, saying that he would do a better job against Hezbollah than either Israel or Prime Minister Netanyahu. I think obviously that shouldn't be taken at face value. Partially, that was meant.
Yeah, that was awesome when he said that shit, by the way. All right. So you guys know that Netanyahu and Zelensky was here yesterday. It's the same old rigmarole here. So we're just going to move on from it. There's no real need to talk about it, to be real. All right. Florida carries out first double execution in decades. This came out yesterday, by the way. Let's figure out what the hell's going on here. This is an interesting development here.
Welcome back to Live Now from Fox. I'm Shauna Kalafi. Getting to a story out of Florida. In a rare occurrence Tuesday, 2 people were executed on the same day in Florida. We have this from the Orlando Sentinel saying Florida on Tuesday became the first state in nearly a decade to carry out 2 executions in a single day, putting to death an 80-year-old man who was the second oldest inmate known to receive a lethal injection in modern U.S. history. So first at noon local time on Tuesday, a former police officer was executed for the death of an 11-year-old girl back in 1987. And then just a few hours later, the state executed another suspect for killing his ex-fiancée.
Thank you for that, lady. I really do. I mean, this is what we do Monday through Friday, and then we have members only on Saturday morning where we don't discuss any of this shit. We actually have a good time. But I appreciate that because I put a lot of work and effort into these kind of things. I research a ton. I mean, that's all I do now.
His parents in Pasco County back in 1986. Florida has now executed 12 people so far this year, the highest number in the U.S. Now, officials with the Florida Department of Corrections and others spoke after that first execution on Tuesday. Let's listen in.
Wow, Eric. That's awesome, by the way.
I'll get the time for the families to get here.
Let's fast forward a little bit until they start speaking.
Gordon Kirkland,
Here we
Director
go.
of Communications for the Florida Department of Corrections. James Aaron Duckett, a City of Mascot police officer, was convicted of and sentenced to death for the first-degree murder and sexual battery of 11-year-old Teresa McAfee. Teresa's body was found in a lake less than a mile from the convenience store where she was last seen getting into Duckett's patrol car. Teresa had been sexually battered, strangled, and drowned. Distinctive tire marks matching the tires on Duckett's patrol car were found at the scene. Teresa's fingerprints were found on the hood of Duckett's patrol car, indicating, quote, that she had been sitting backwards on the hood and had scooted up the car. The Florida Supreme Court affirmed Duckett's conviction and death sentence. The sentence of the state of Florida versus James Aaron Duckett was carried out at 1:19 p.m. on July 28, 2026. The execution took place without incident. We have representatives of the victims' families that we would like to allow to speak at this time, and they have opened to the possibility of taking a few questions. So I'll allow the family to come up first.
I absolutely agree with that, Texas Gidget. What's up, Stock Free? Good morning. Great to see you, by the way. Good morning. Oh, shit, they wheeled up somebody. What's going on here?
You want to stand up and hold on to this, or you just want to stay sitting down?
I'll stay sitting down.
Okay. Do you want
to? This is Teresa McAbee's mother, Dorothy Tula. And this DORTHYTULA. This is her mother. I'm her aunt, Shirley Lancaster. SHIRLEYLANCASTER. And what do you want to say? Now you can speak. I'm glad all this done. I've been waiting 40 years to have him dead.
Damn. Waited 40 years to kill him, basically. Yeah, that's brutal.
And we want to take the time to thank everybody for everything that they did to fight for this case and for what everybody has done for our family.
I really want to thank Rocky Harris. He was very good to us. He did everything for us. You know, and I want him to get credit for what he did for us, you know, to get this.
What, back before in like 1987?
The only thing I have about this is the state let him live too damn long. Amen. You know, he lived all of years without her. She was only 11.
Well, what would be better? Letting him live for 40 years extra that he wouldn't have had, or killing him right away? I'm looking for what the dude would have wanted. Would the dude would have wanted to be killed 40 years ago, or would he rather have been alive for 40 years and then taken out? I don't know. It seems like, yes, of course, the state took way too long for that decision, but it kind of worked out in his favor that he got to live.
What can a grown-ass man want with an 11-year-old child when you have all these hookers on the road? Why didn't you go get one of them? Instead, you got to get a baby. And how many did he kill right after that? He killed Jennifer. He killed another little girl. And
oh, wow.
Nobody knows who she is. At least we did get a little bit of closure. You know, not much.
Now I understand. I thought it was the guy. I see. That's what I thought. So I thought this was like the guy's family that just died. They're talking about from the victim's standpoint, the victim's parents, and yeah, this is different than what I originally thought.
Later, that's not nothing. You know, we've lived all this time without that baby. You know, what it should have been. Maybe should have been the next doctor. Maybe should have been the next, you know, president. You don't never know. But we never got the chance to find that out because this bastard took her away from us.
What's up, Bempton? Hopefully you're enjoying your morning so far.
You know, and this lady has lived through hell for all these years. Nobody has tried to help this lady. You know, she has lived from day to day struggling to try to stay, you know, afloat. She's on Social Security. You know, they don't pay you nothing. I'm on that. It don't pay nothing. This lady is struggling, you know, so bad. And nobody's trying to help her, you know. But this is over. We're going to get through this. We made it this.
Yeah, that sucks. It cut out on their side. That's good enough. Let's go and see if there's anything else going on here with them announcing any further. Oh, it looks like they're actually bringing up a handful of other people here. Let's see what's going on right here quickly.
And she was 14 years old 3 days before her 15th birthday. My beef with the state of Florida is they wouldn't prosecute him for her murder because he was already on death row. Her mom died without getting close.
Because he was already on death row. That's crazy. What?
To her death, and we need to change our legislation that just because somebody's on death row, they should be prosecuted for the crimes that they commit against others.
Yes. Amen.
What's up, VPS? By the way, good morning to you. Happy Reckless Wednesday. Good morning.
Amen on that one.
Yeah, I've got the story. 2 hours ago, Dr. Fauci invokes Fifth Amendment at COVID-19 hearing. I'm ahead of you, cuh. I got it. Appreciate
I'm
that,
Amy
though.
Weldon, Jennifer's sister, AMYWELDON. And I just wanted to thank everybody that's our detectives and everyone that's been on the case, all the people here today in their support, and all of our friends that keep her memory alive. And my mom's not here to witness this, but I feel like our family finally has some sort of closure. It's been a hard many years growing up without my sister.
Well, that totally sucks. This whole situation is a bummer here, especially when you start hearing from the victims' families and stuff. It's just terrible. You know, you waited 40 years to finally do something. You know, the families had to wait 40 years to feel like there was some sort of justice. But yeah, that sucks. Anyways,
the Florida Department of
right here.
Corrections, also some family members of one of these victims, a crime about 40 years old now. So on Tuesday, Florida executed 2 people on the same day. They became the first state in nearly a decade to carry out 2 back-to-back executions in a single day. They put to death an 80-year-old man who was the second oldest inmate known to receive a lethal injection in modern U.S. history. Now, that press conference.
So that's definitely interesting. Florida, you know, on yesterday became the first state in nearly a decade to carry out 2 executions in a single day. So those were the 2 men that were executed. All right, we're going to go ahead and move on. Now we've got to get into U.S. and Saudi forces launched dual attack on Iran after surprise strikes. Now the surprise strikes from Iran were another, you know, this happened yesterday evening, afternoonish, our time over here in the United States. And they attacked our base in Jordan again. And now, luckily, we intercepted everything that, you know, all the missiles that were coming in the United States, we intercepted everything. But that was an escalation. You're shooting at us. So now there's going to be retaliations. Now, what's interesting about this is now we've got Saudi Arabia, who's also joined forces basically with us, which is an interesting fact. I read this earlier. I'm going to go ahead and just quickly bring up for anybody that's coming in real quick before I get into the actual reporting of it. I have this for you guys. So, of course, Iran launched a surprise missile attack targeting U.S. forces in Jordan, ending the relative lull. You know, it calmed down for about 3-4 days. But now we have an escalation again that it had existed over the past several days. U.S. officials say the incoming missiles were intercepted, though the attack represented a major escalation. That coming out from the Wall Street Journal, by the way. In response, the United States and Saudi Arabia carried out coordinated airstrikes against Iran-backed militia positions in Iraq. This is significant because it's one of the clearest public examples of Saudi Arabia openly participating alongside U.S. military operations in this conflict. That's coming out from Reuters, by the way. Anyway, so let me go ahead and bring it over to this over here, and we will go ahead and start presenting this.
And I want to bring this out to a social media post courtesy of...
And this is also the thumbnail. Let me know what you guys thought of the thumbnail. We always work really hard on these thumbnails each and every single fucking day. But the dual strikes, you know, in the aspect of the United States and Saudi Arabia, side by side right there. So anyways, go ahead and bring it back over to this. Here we go.
U.S. Central Command. They say this, that U.S. Central Command and the Saudi Arabian Armed Forces conducted precision strikes in Iraq July 28th against Iran-allied terrorists that the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps directed to attack U.S. forces and Saudi energy infrastructure. U.S. and Saudi fighter aircraft struck multiple terrorist logistics and weapons sites across eastern Iraq.
That's right. We are in overtime, by the way. You know what they say about overtime? No tax on tips, no tax on overtime. Send in your freaking money. Always appreciate that. Yes, actually, might as well just get the money part over because we haven't done anything.
All right, just get the money part done.
Give me money. Money me. Money now. Me a money needing a lot now.
And if you ain't got money to send in, make sure you guys hit that like button. Double tap that screen, man. Let's get it. All right, let's go.
Strong response to over 30 IRGC directed aerial drone attacks in the last 72 hours. The unwarranted attacks against U.S. forces were not successful. From February through April of 2026, there were more than 600 attempted attacks on U.S. citizens and facilities by Iran-aligned terrorist militias in Iraq.
What's up, brother VC? Virginia Chaos in the building. Shout out to my man.
The IRGC and its terrorist proxies must cease these attacks to avoid further military response. We are still looking to see what more updates we get from U.S. CENTCOM. Now, we know that they are saying they're remaining vigilant and at high state of readiness. So a lot to discuss this Wednesday morning. Joining us next into the conversation to help us make sense of what's happening there in the Middle East is Justin Leopold Cohen. He's a military analyst with the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies. Justin, good morning. Good to have you on.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. All right, let's just start with this. How would you describe, based on your expertise, the latest military strategy with the U.S. and also Iran as those strikes continue, but also diplomatic negotiations are continuing as well?
Yeah, it's a great question. And as you just saw in that post from CENTCOM, there was this attack with the Saudis cooperating against some of the proxy organizations we're still seeing in Iraq. And
which is a big deal.
If you direct a few hours earlier, we noted that the Iranians had launched several missiles over to U.S. forces. So we are still seeing, despite a more low intensity than what happened at the beginning of U.S. operations.
What's up, OI? Good morning, and great to see you in the chat again, by the way. Hopefully you're enjoying your Wednesday morning, your Whip 'em Out Wednesday, or your Insane Wheels Wednesday. All of those things are great. Great to see you in the chat.
Big Fury. There is still a lot of kinetic action going on. However, we saw the last few days kind of a lull in conflict, but this doesn't mean, apparently, to the Iranians that they're ready to call it a day. I think pursuing the...
Thank you for that, Texas Gadget. I put a lot of time and effort into these damn thumbnails. Probably a little too much, but appreciate that.
Negotiations is a great path. This is going to end in some sort of agreement, but having this pause clearly didn't work out. And that's what the Iranians are willing to do. We have to show sort of the same level of effort and be willing to retaliate.
Now, Justin, I just put up a poll here at the bottom of the screen just for our viewers to weigh in, because we have been talking to them about all of these developments, the escalation over the last several months since February 28th. So the question to our viewers is, what should the U.S.'s top priority be within this Iran conflict? National security or avoiding a wider war? I want to just let our
that's a good question, actually.
viewers know that you can vote by scanning the QR code there on the bottom right-hand
they're
side.
doing a live vote while they're so they're getting the people's to what they think is most important. Interesting. Let's see if they have any other breaking developments here. It looks like they do here. Let's see what this is.
To your point there, Justin, I also want to showcase this social media post from Fox News. Benjamin Netanyahu sat down with Fox's Sean Hannity. It says, breaking Israeli...
Oh, I didn't know that. I'm going to have to go watch that. So I guess he did an exclusive interview. Sean Hannity did with Netanyahu yesterday.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu pushes back on reports of cracks in his relationship with President Trump, saying, quote, one of the best meetings we've had. I always hate to disappoint our would-be critics who are trying to find cracks in our alliance. And what they find like today is a wall of granite. We have common commitment. We don't want to see this fanatic regime in Tehran have nuclear weapons.
Oh, yes. Thank you for that, by the way. Yes, the channel did exceed past 6 million views. So I'm very honored from all of you, by you guys and for you guys sticking by me and also supporting what we're doing over here. Yes, make sure you guys, if you can't support by, by money or finance, on that kind of level, just make sure you guys comment in the chat as well as hitting that like button, man.
We have a common goal and it's going to be achieved. So it's basically what you were saying there, Justin. I mean, both countries, they do.
So the trick real quick, VPS, when you're using AI, use it as a skeleton. And then what I do is I'll use it as a skeleton essentially, but then I'll bring it into Canva and do all the intricate edits that I want on the thumbnail on Canva. Right. So I don't take it just from, GPT or whatever, and then move it over. I don't do that. I actually put it in Canva and start doing some other edits to it, which is interesting. Anyways.
Goals that are aligned specifically when it comes to Iran. But if we look back to these strikes that first happened February 28th, what is something that has really stood out to you possibly about how the relationship between Washington, D.C. and Jerusalem has evolved up until now?
So at the beginning of the 2026 conflict, the U.S. and Israel did a sort of masterful military operation. They were striking thousands of targets. They were flying aircraft side by side. And this is something that very few militaries could do.
Thank you very much for that, Provo. Hopefully you're enjoying your morning as well. Always appreciate you.
Alongside the United States. And I think that really showed sort of one of the president's main objectives in action is getting our partners and allies to carry more of the security burden. And this is what the Israelis have been doing. I think that one of the ways it's evolved, particularly in Iran, is this is probably the big difference is the Israelis' goals.
So interesting. I find it interesting what people voted on. I'm sure that this is a small pool of people, but still shows 89% of people on this little vote thing have voted for national security. And then 11% have voted for avoid a wider war.
Are really towards regime change. They've said this openly that it's the
Yeah, and we're not going to get a regime change with our current landscape. It's just not going to happen. We're not going to force a regime change from the air. It's never even happened historically. So, anyways, let's go and move on from this. Unfortunately, he didn't have anything that I was looking for, any further big posts or anything. All right. Dr. Fauci invokes Fifth Amendment at COVID-19 hearing. Interesting, considering that he's been pardoned and, yeah, this is crazy.
Fauci, your testimony today is compelled by a lawful subpoena. As you know, it's a crime under 18 U.S.C. Section 1001 to knowingly make a material false statement to Congress, with the penalty up to 5 years of imprisonment. Understanding that you are under oath, the American people would like to understand your reasoning, your rationale for why you chose to fund the research in Wuhan. There have been, intelligence agencies, the CIA, the FBI, the DOE, have all come to the conclusion that more likely than not, the virus came from the lab in Wuhan. And so we'd like to know, what was the rationale? What was the discussion? How, what went behind the decision to fund the research in Wuhan? How did you come to the conclusion that a totalitarian country would be capable of doing this in a BSL-2 lab, a lab that lacked the security? What was the reasoning? And are you sorry, basically, for making the decision? Would you, given another chance, say, well, gosh, circumstances now, as I know it, maybe it wasn't a wise thing. Can you explain to the committee why you chose to fund this dangerous research in China?
All right, let's see.
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution.
You suck, bitch.
In the red folder on your table is a copy of Section 192 of Title II of the U.S. Code. Your counsel has been provided a copy as well. That section makes it a crime for a witness appearing under subpoena to refuse to answer any questions pertinent to the question under inquiry. Do you have that in front of you?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution.
Let the record record that the witness has refused to answer whether there's a folder in front of him based on his Fifth Amendment right. It is true that you're appearing under direction of our subpoena to provide testimony on matters under consideration by the committee, including the origins of COVID-19, risky life sciences research, and your tenure as a federal government employee. Additionally, you've been provided a full and unconditional pardon dated January 19th, 2025, for any offenses against the United States which may have been committed or taken part from January 1st, 2014 through the date of the pardon for a 10-year period, arising from or in any manner related to your service as director of the National Institute for Allergy and Infectious Diseases.
Be safe out there, Naomi. Always appreciate you.
As a member of the White House Coronavirus Task Force or the White House COVID-19 Response Team, or as Chief Medical Advisor to the President. Have you refused this pardon, or do you have any reason to believe this full and unconditional pardon, this grant of immunity, would somehow require you to plead the Fifth Amendment?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution.
Based on the facts presented,
this guy is such a piece of shit.
I'm going to direct you to answer the questions.
I should literally spit on him right now.
The committee has issued a valid subpoena. They've requested your presence here. The questions are very pertinent to your decision-making as head of NIAID, as well as a chief advisor to the president. Do you still refuse to answer the questions?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment.
Just keep reading that same line.
To the Constitution.
Let's do the... Dr. Fauci, were you ever made aware of gain-of-function research on monkeypox being conducted at the National Biodefense Analysis and Countermeasure Center and back at Fort Detrick?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution.
Wow. What a waste. What a fucking waste. That shit is so frustrating. And see, the reason why I stopped giving a fuck about Fauci is because I realized our government's not going to do shit about shit. Like, that guy's never going to actually... Should he see prison? Of course he should. Everyone knows that. Like, everybody knows that. Meanwhile, dude's going to never get locked up. He's never going to do any time. It's all bullshit. anyways, listen, I can't thank each and every single one of you guys enough for supporting what we do here on Insane Wheels, hitting that like button, commenting, donating, all of that, man. It adds up very quickly, and I'm very honored by you guys. And real quick, we got Debbie coming in with the $3, by the way, on the Cash App, saying keep on TCB. Hey, well, I very much appreciate it. $3 on the Cash App. I wasn't going to say your last name, by the way, because it comes all the way through. But thank you very much for the support, by the way. All right, we're going to be back here actually tonight for the Diamond Effect, so make sure you guys stick around for that. We're going to be discussing a whole bunch of great shit, actually. But we're going to go ahead and continue down the Truth Seeking adventure, obviously, as well tomorrow when we present our news for the morning. So listen, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, and we're back here 10 a.m. Tomorrow morning. And then, of course, we do have our Diamond Effect this evening. So make sure you guys come out. It's about 7:15-ish p.m. Central Standard Time. We run a 3-panel show on that. So it takes some. Sometimes we're late to the game. Actually, we're late all the time on that one. But that's not because of me. I'm always early. You know what I mean? Anyways, listen, much love, honor, respect to you guys. We'll see you guys here this evening. If not this evening, then tomorrow. Much love.
From the depths of darkness, a voice emerges.